Hey guys, I finally made the what if and I finally got done uploading it or like recording it. And now basically this is what if Deku was a Speedster part 3. Now, I think I did part 2 a couple months back, a couple weeks back, maybe a couple months back. And basically last time I left off is when Deku was pretty much knocked out after falling miles and miles after almost time traveling and running after, what was it, Reverse Flash at full speed. Now, basically, Deku, and now I just watching part 1 and 2 to, understand the story, because I'm not going to go back more into the story. And basically, let's, continue. Basically, Deku, at this point, was basically, what was it? Pretty much, waking up at home. No, waking up at Deku Beach after he was knocked out there, and basically seeing that sunrise was coming up. Deku ran to his house as fast as possible, running into his room and getting out of his vigilante suit and putting it into the case and throwing it underneath his bed. Deku went to sleep that night and waking up about 2 hours later and going to school. Now, basically, Deku runs to school and pretty much doesn't run to school at super speed. He just runs to the bus and gets on the bus. Basically, Deku gets the UA, walks in the class 1A, and basically that's when we start our main story. So basically, Zao walks in the class and explains to the class they're doing the USJ, and basically everybody in the class is kind of still worried for Deku because it's only been about a couple of weeks since since Deku's mom died, and the news did explain what was it? Pretty much Deku. They did hear about Deku's mom and how she died being like ripped in half, or being her heart being phased out of her body, and it was super bloody and super gruesome. And Deku came home and saw it all. So basically, they were still worried for Deku, but some of them wanted to comfort Deku, and some of the girls actually wanted to date Deku because they kind of like bad boys, but also they wanted to comfort Deku a little bit more, and also Deku was kind of attractive. So yeah, so guys, last time I said Deku had green or black hair, but I'm pretty sure in part 1 I said Deku had red hair. So Deku will have red hair. Just saying, Deku will have red. Deku will have red hair. Okay. So Deku, um, Deku. What was it? Deku goes to the USJ after after Izawa explains to the class that they're going to the USJ. So they get ready, and basically they all get on the bus putting on their hero costumes. Deku puts on his Kid Flash hero costume and gets ready. Everybody else gets their same hero costume, pretty much just talking to Deku. And Deku did have a little bit of bruising on his back because he did fall and pretty much what was it, duck and roll 1,000 times as he was flying to mile, pretty much flying in the air to mile every time he bumped himself on the floor as he was falling for miles. He was he was tripping for miles, so he got a lot of bruises on his back, but no one can see it through the yellow and red suit. Basically, Deku, it wasn't, laying his back on the bench because he didn't want to hurt his bruising anymore. Basically, everybody was talking about their quirks and all other stuff. And Deku was asked by Momo about his quirk. Deku explained about his quirk, about how he has some sort of speed quirk that can allow him to make lightning from his body and boost him up into, boost him forwards. Now, Bakugo said that's a lie, pretty much saying that, we grew up and pretty much Bakugo saying, we grew up, you were quirkless. Basically, Deku being, correcting Bakugo, saying, no, I wasn't. Pretty much looking at Bakugo, Deku phasing his hands, pretty much breaking the seat as he making making marks of his hands into the seat, pretty much staring down Bakugo. Bakugo backs off, scoffing at Deku, and Deku sits back in his chair. Now they arrive at the USJ about 10 minutes after Deku sat back in his chair, and they get off the bus and they get ready. They get started. They get the same speech from 13, and eventually the pro heroes show up. Deku looks over and he sees the villains. Sorry, the villains show up and start to attack the students. The students are getting attacked, but Deku runs away from the group, pretty much running on top of a mountain, a couple of paces away. Deku stares farther down and he hears multiple people screaming and basically seeing 13 getting totally just mollywopped by, what was it? By, I think it was getting mollywopped by getting mollywopped by what was it? Getting mollywopped by number third by the shower court guy. Basically, everybody else getting teleported away at the boat. Pretty much everybody gets teleported away at the boat, and Deku helps. Pretty much, what was it? Froppy and Mineta at the boat. Now, I don't remember if I expelled Mineta or not, but Mineta isn't really a big part of this story just yet. So basically, Deku just runs over there, grabbing both of them, or Froppy if Mineta was expelled, pretty much running over the water and running her back to shore, and basically running around, seeing that All Might shows up and starts fighting the Nomu. Deku looks at Shigaraki and looks and puts it back together, seeing that, Shigaraki was telling the Nomu what to do, and Deku immediately sprints at full speed towards Shigaraki, but gets stopped by a yellow or red lightning getting pushed into a pillar. Deku looks up and he sees, well, the yellow suited man, Reverse Flash. Pretty much Deku stands up and says, again, who are you? Pretty much Reverse Flash says, well, I'm Leobar Thawne. I'm Reverse Flash, and I need you to do something for me. Pretty much he runs past Deku, punching him in the stomach, and Deku gets back up immediately, running right after him. They start running around in, the USJ multiple times past multiple villains, bumping into classmates and bumping into villains alike, basically knocking out some villains as well as they're running, making huge scorch marks on the glass dome and the floor of the, what was it, USJ, going left and right. Deku running past the whole entire fight with the Nomu and All Might, and Deku just facing past the Nomu and All Might, running after, Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash says, you have all the skills, but do you know what the Speed Force is? Deku says, what's the Speed Force? And pretty much, what was it? Leobar Thawne says, I'll show you. And sprints out of the USJ, and sprinting into Deku Beach, running in circles over and over and over. Deku runs after Leobar Thawne in circles as well, running over and over and over, building up speed, and Deku seeing that Leobar Thawne runs off, and Deku runs off after him at full speed like he did originally, gaining up a lot of electricity, kinetic energy, and going at full speed, basically his body and his suit almost burning, basically Deku's pretty much body going at full speed, making him a complete blur, and Deku giving off bright yellow, red, and orange electricity off his body, a bunch even, making like a storm type of thing, and Deku running at full speed, eventually making but pretty much rushing into the Speed Force or the Speed Gateway. Deku looks around, seeing that it's lightning, and seeing that it's all his memories and time periods and numbers of timelines and also other stuff. And Deku looks behind himself and he sees Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash says thank you, and pretty much drop kicks Deku into a timeline that Deku lived. Deku gets kicked into a timeline about the same what was it, minute that Deku, basically the same day that Deku got his powers. Deku stands up and looks at his past self, getting electrocuted or pretty much shocked by lightning. Deku looks at himself and says, "This is the same day I got my powers. It was raining all the same today, and I was wearing my clothes from school, and I was running to home." Basically, Deku looking around, and Deku was in the tunnel watching this. And Deku saw the sludge villain coming up behind him. Deku moved immediately with easy, basically looking at the sludge villain saying, you gotta do better than that. Deku waving his hands multiple times over and over and over again, making a tornado move, washing away the sludge villain into the rain, making the sludge villain pretty much, wither away and basically die, because Deku ran over its eyes accidentally and killed it. So Deku starts running around and basically comes across Reverse Flash. Reverse Flash looks at Deku and says, well, I just gotta do it again. And basically Reverse Flash was trying to, trying to make Deku go fast enough to make him go back in time and make Leobar Thawne first Speedster ever, trying to go back in time and take a certain evil speedster's place. Deku ran after Leobar Thawne over and over and over again, going back in time periods and time periods. Deku running into the slave periods running into World War III, World War IV, World War IV in the future, and also World War III in the future, World War II, and World War I. Deku pretty much running around circles in timelines, making a disruption, and also eventually leading to a speed demon coming after both of them. The speed demon was coming after Lee Barthon the most because Lee Barthon did set up everything for Deku to get the Speed Force, and it also set up everything for Deku to follow him and start the speed anomaly. Basically, the speed force, seeing all of this, seeing that Lee Barthon was tricking Deku. Deku, being the Speed Force's new avatar, seeing that Deku had potential in letting Lee Barthon give Deku the Speed Force. Basically, Deku is running after Lee Barthon, but gets stopped by a speed demon tossing Deku into his timeline, tossing Deku into the water after the heroes already arrested all the villains. Deku pretty much gets taken to the hospital because Deku was pretty bruised up because Deku did fight then there in multiple timelines. But at this time, Lee Barthon was getting chased around time and time again and being stuck in the 1980s, basically ran around from the speed demon for, hundreds of years, or pretty much day after day. Now, basically, Lee Barthon is going to be pretty much, you know, backed up because of the whole entire thing with, the speed demon chasing him. So basically, Lee Barthon is going to be pretty much chased after the speed demon for a big chunk of the series. So basically, Lee Barthon's not going to come back until, let's say, about uh part um part let's say 5. And yeah, so basically Deku, basically wakes up in the hospital, getting from his chair, pretty much seeing that his hero costume was off, and seeing that he was in some sort of hospital gown. Deku looks around himself and he sees some of his classmates, but also his mom. I don't know, some of his classmates and also his rich uncle. They're pretty much saying, "Are you okay, Deku?" And Deku saying, "Yeah, I'm good." Pretty much looking around, saying that it's Momo, Ochaku, Denki, Karinari, and Bakugo there, pretty much comforting Deku. Deku basically looks at them and says, "What's wrong?" And basically, Deku gets told by the class that, well, Deku gets told by Zawa that Froppy died. Basically, Deku is being really, actually sad because he did just save her from the boat, but he didn't think that. And pretty much Deku gets told that the man and the man with light blue hair and hands all around him that you're running towards killed Froppy. Basically, since Deku wasn't there to really stop Shigaraki from grabbing Froppy, Deku wasn't able to save Froppy, and Froppy did technically die. And also, Sao wasn't there to stop, what was it, Shigaraki, Shigaraki's quirk, so Froppy's face was disintegrated off and killed. So, basically, Deku, slams his head on the hospital bed and he slams his hand on the hospital bed and says, "I'm going to kill that guy." Pretty much, as I was saying, don't say that, Deku. You're already in bad shape, and also, the villains got away. So basically, Deku sits down, basically saying, "Can I have a moment of silence, or can I have a moment to myself?" And everybody in the room leaves, including the nurse there. So Deku whispers to himself and says, why am I here?" Now, in that first second when Deku blinks his eyes, Deku finds himself in his outfit like this, but also in the Speed Force. But his spiritual form in the Speed Force, not his physical body. Deku looks around, seeing a pretty much a what was it? And pretty much the Speed Force taking the form of Deku's mother. Deku looks over to his mother and says, "Mom," and the Speed Force stops Deku there and says, "I'm not your mother. I took this form because I thought it would be comforting to you. I'm the Speed Force, the being of nature that gave you your powers, that's giving you powers." Deku says, so you're the force or the person or the thing that I'm going to be thanking for my chance to become a hero?" Pretty much the Speed Force says yes, but Lee Barthon, or Reverse Flash as he calls himself, is being chased around time and timelines by the Speed Demon. But in a couple of days or a couple of months, he may come back to try to finish his goal as becoming the first Speedster ever and becoming the Speed Force himself. But You are my guardian, Izuku Midoriya, and you need to become strong. You have multiple powers, but you need to learn how to tap into your speed force as much as you can. You can already time travel, but you already can break the speed force and time travel, but you need to be fast enough to go against Leobarthon. Leobarthon may be faster than you, but he can't reach the speed force, and I will allow him. He is faster than you, but he can't reach the speed force. But you have to become as fast as him without going through the speed force and being able to run next to him at full speed. But the Nexus of Speed can help you with that. But in time, you will be able to go there. But you need to train and focus your body into becoming as strong as it can to handle the Nexus of Power. Deku says, "So what now?" And the Speed Force says, "Train, Izuku Midoriya, and become my champion that I hope you can be." And pretty much the Speed Force snaps his fingers and sends Deku back to his body, and Deku waking up about a couple of hours later, and Deku going back home in his clothes and, going to sleep at night in his jammies. So, I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So, guys, basically, oh, sorry, guys. So, basically, guys, Deku, Deku is, going to be, in part 2, Deku's going to be more or less more focused on having train for the Speed Force to give him the ability or give him the strength to get the Nexus of Power to stop, Reverse Flash. But also Deku still thinking about killing him. And also Deku going to Froppy's funeral, and Deku, over the days the USJ is off. Basically UA's whole entire dorm thing actually does start earlier than in canon because the whole entire Froppy dying and everything. So basically, they get the days off more. They get like a whole entire week off because of Froppy's death, and Deku goes to Froppy's funeral alongside a couple other kids from Class 1A. Zao shows up, but he gets yelled at by Froppy's mom, saying that you did this, and pretty much saying that the villains came and killed my daughter because of you. Pretty much saying that I should have never let her go to the UA. Pretty much yelling at her and yelling at Zao, saying to the kids, saying that you need to get out of UA as fast as possible and don't end up like my precious Froppy. Basically, my precious Sue. Sorry, my precious Sue. Basically, Deku, says, "Miss Froppy, I don't think it's UA's fault." And pretty much Froppy says, you've been corrupted by UA. Deku says, "I'm sorry for your loss." And pretty much Froppy says, "You don't have to worry. You don't have to apologize. You're the one that tried to save her. Except from Azawa." Pretty much Azawa getting kind of, sad by this. Just walking off from the funeral, not looking back. Now we skip about a couple of days later, and the week they got out of school, it's about to end, and Deku actually just get a call from Mirako. Now, if you don't realize, I'm pretty sure the ship was Mirako and Deku, so basically, Deku gets a call from Mirako, and Mirako asks Deku to, meet him at a dinner, or like a restaurant. So, Deku goes to the restaurant and pretty much talks to Mirako for a minute, and basically, eventually, makes a more or less, what was it? Basically makes, what was it? Deku, pretty much flirts with Mirako, having basically a date, and also at the end of the night, basically doing some adult stuff. And I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So Deku and Mirako are technically like a thing now because Deku and Mirako did it, but I'm not gonna really get into that anymore. So yeah, so basically Deku goes to UA after the week they get off of school, and basically Deku, you know, pretty much signs or pretty much names Mirako on his phone as girlfriend slash Mirako. So Deku pretty much, goes to school the next day, pretty much seeing Mirako in the hallways, pretty much, winking at her. Pretty much Mirako being with a couple of paperwork in her hand, pretty much filling out some paperwork for the damage that happened at USJ, but also for some stuff that happened, with Sue's, because, the school's getting sued by Sue's mom about, Sue being killed. So basically, yeah, so I'm gonna leave it off here, guys. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day. See you guys later. Bye. Deuces. And as always, guys, be safe out there. Bye.